All right, our man Chuck, what is going on tonight?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Tennessee baseball. It's always a blessing to get somebody from y'all's team. Y'all are amazing, fun to watch. But before we get into anything Tennessee, before we get into anything your story, we got to break the ice, man. We got to find out about you. And if you answer these questions wrong, this episode just might get cut short. So we'll see where we stand. But first, right out the gate, man, who's your favorite musician or band?
Mm. Um, Being in Knoxville, I'd say Morgan Wallen has a pretty big presence. I'm sure that's a common answer.
9 out of 10.
Um,
9 out of 10.
It's also the right answer.
no, so he's pretty good. I've kind of been a country guy my whole life. My I always tell my dad that my walkout song right now is Tom Sawyer by Rush, so I can tell all the dads in the stands behind me are kind of bobbing their heads when I walk
And
up.
I'm
So
I'm that guy. I'm bobbing if I'm hearing that
yeah.
myself. So there we go. You won me back over after giving the same Morgan Wallen answer that everybody else gives. So usually we ask favorite movie, but ever since I saw the Oakland A's training camp video and they asked a bunch of grown men what their favorite Disney movie is, I've flipped the script. So Chuck, you got a favorite Disney movie?
Disney movie. Let's see. I'm trying to think back of all the Disney movies. I used to like Cars when I was little. I'm trying to think.
I said, you don't got to keep thinking. Cars is a solid enough choice. I think you can roll
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
But the real question is, what's your favorite baseball movie?
Mm. I think one time for Father's Day, me and my dad watched. They were showing Field of Dreams in theaters, like as a special Father's Day thing. So that's always been my favorite.
Solid.
And the fact that he got to see it in theaters, boys. I mean, we didn't even get to do that. We ain't old enough for that. So,
Or maybe we're too old for that.
one of the things I read, man, was you've been to every baseball stadium, MLB baseball stadium with your dad. I just want to know. I'm gonna let Daniel talk more about that in a little bit, but I just want to know what your favorite one was and why.
Yeah, so first, that's partially correct. Our plan was to go to all of them before college, and then COVID kind of ruined everything. We had a trip to hit the last two were Oakland and Seattle, so kind of up in the Northwest, but COVID kind of ruined that. So I think we're planning on hitting those this summer. But I'd say from a historic standpoint, obviously the Fenways, the Wrigleys are really cool. But then I thought San Francisco was cool. I mean, you can't beat having the Bay right behind it. Um, I thought I think
Tropicana is pretty cool too.
Not really.
No,
I
not at
like
all.
we've always liked PNC, the Pirates one, because we got to see a Braves extra inning win there, so that was a bonus for
Well,
us.
when you look at the list where they grade them, you named the two top ones are actually by most accounts are San Francisco and Pittsburgh. So, and then of
Hmm.
course you named the historic ones. So you're naming all the right ones, all the ones that I
You know
haven't
what he
been to.
didn't say?
Bush.
He didn't say Bush.
It's all
I,
right.
I I like Bush. I like Bush.
But
I just
Randy, I ain't gonna lie. Like I look at the pictures of PNC and San Francisco to his point, and they look way cooler.
Yeah, I've been to PNC. It's really nice. I haven't been to San Francisco, but I'm still taking Bush, man. You know what I'm
If,
saying?
if
Give me
if you
give me
went to
all them
San
titles,
Francisco,
baby.
if you went to San Francisco, Randy, are you going out there on a boat out in the water to catch home run balls? Is that how you're doing this?
Absolutely not. No, I'm not.
Barry Bonds ain't trotting to the plate. He ain't out there.
So last one, and we'll get into your story, but March Madness is upon us. My question for you is first, have you filled out a bracket? And if so, who do you got winning it all?
I haven't done enough homework on it as I need to, and I haven't done a bracket, but I think Alabama kind of seems like a machine this year. I hate to say it, but
Randy, I'll let you address this, right? I'm not even going to touch this.
Listen, Chuck, your answer is right because I did pick Alabama to win it too, but we had this discussion before the show. I said, is there any chance he doesn't pick Tennessee? You proved me wrong, Chuck. I'll be, hey, but I don't want Alabama to win, because if they win, that means karma does not exist.
I think by you and me picking Alabama, I think we're giving the Vols a better chance.
There we go, baby.
But the problem is the team that me and Daniel got picked to win it all stands in Alabama's way on their side of the bracket just in general. So Memphis is getting
Oh,
Yeah,
Wait. Let's address this live. Daniel, you picked the Tigers to win it all.
I did not.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't?
No, that's I have a simple rule for bracket picking, and it's I go to where I realistically think that they can make it, and they lose. I have them losing a round before that. I hedge my bets, so to speak.
Gotcha. Well,
You
I
got
took
them
them all
losing
the
to
way.
Tennessee. I understand.
I got them all the way. So I guess I'm winning. I guess I'm winning the money in the pool. If y'all want to go ahead and Venmo it over, I'm ready.
You ain't even Venmo'd your entry fee yet.
No need. You'll send it right back.
Yeah. All right. So, Chuck, man, let's get into your story. We got to start this thing off from the beginning. So, tell me a little bit about where you're from.
yeah. So I'm from Dunwoody, Georgia. It's probably 15 or 20 minutes north of Atlanta. I got my dad, my mom, and then my little sister is at Alabama right now, so that's a conflict of interest. And then
So, what's Thanksgiving like? What's that conversation like? How was that football game? Did y'all bring that up by chance?
I think she's more concerned about just having fun than who wins the football game. So it's not too heated.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, because I could see where that thing could go south real quick. But obviously we hit on this earlier, but you talked about your dad and you spending time going to every baseball stadium, every MLB stadium that there was. Obviously missed out on a couple. Is there any room in your family for me? I mean, sounds like a good trip to me.
We can bring you along to Oakland and Seattle for the
Hey,
last two.
hey, man, I wish I could, man. I wish, but let me ask this about those stadiums. How was that something that you guys planned a long time ago, or was that just like a couple, obviously prior to COVID, but a few years before COVID, you're like, this is our plan.
I think I'm assuming it was originally my dad's idea because I think I was too young to really think that far ahead when we started. So I'm trying to remember. Obviously, the Braves was probably the first one that we went to, but I think early on we did a trip where we went to like Detroit. I'm trying to remember where else we would go on that trip, but we did a trip up there, and then we went on a family trip in like middle school out west. So we did like Chase Field, Dodgers, Angels. So we've been working on it since I was probably like 10 or 12 years old.
Man, that's actually like a short time span to be able to like coordinate all that, especially as we get into your career at baseball. I mean, you're preoccupied a lot with a lot of that. But before we leave this little topic, what is one park that you guys went to that you feel like is maybe like a hidden gem that people wouldn't think is a pretty cool place that you went to?
Let's see.
I'll tell you mine. I went to Kauffman Stadium, or what was Kauffman Stadium, with the Royals, and that place is pretty nice. Like the fountains in the back, like it was pretty legit. I enjoyed that part. Most people wouldn't think to pick that, but that's on my list for sure.
I feel like this one's pretty highly rated, but I like Petco Park a lot in San Diego. I mean, the weather's nice. There was kind of like a lot going on in the outfield, like little pop-up shops and vendors and stuff. So it was, and I like that whatever the brick building or restaurant is in left field. That's a pretty cool setup.
When I was stationed there, they were pretty bad at baseball, so you could get tickets for dirt cheap. So I never have a problem with a beautiful ballpark that doesn't cost me much money.
That's right.
Definitely. So let's get into your baseball career. At what age did you start playing baseball?
I think it was as soon as I could pick up a bat. I think we were playing like church league t-ball or whatever it was at 3 or 4 years old.
Was that the only sport? Was baseball the only sport you played growing up?
I played um, in middle school. I played baseball, basketball, and football, and then in high school, when I was in middle school, my high school coach was kind of like, "Hey, you can either play middle school baseball or travel baseball," and I was like, that was a no-brainer. The travel ball was way better competition, so I had a short track career in middle school too, just during the week to kill some time.
Gotcha.
I
Can
knew
you
you
s-
had some wheels, Chuck.
Yeah. Can
The
you?
wheels,
Can
the
you?
wheels, the wheels are coming off a little bit.
I mean,
You just wait.
I saw you grinding out a double not too long ago. You still got it.
I saw a triple. Shoot.
That's right. That's
I
right.
just don't understand why you don't hit it over every time. I mean,
I mean, jeez. So can you still hoop a little bit? It's a common question we ask you baseball guys that say that you've played basketball.
So I would say I was a pretty, like in middle school I was pretty big and kind of filled out and muscular. So I think I led my team in scoring, and I don't think I made a shot outside of the paint or a free throw the whole year because I knew my jump shot was broke, so I was more of a slasher.
Randy,
So
we feel
love
this
it.
guy 100%.
I love it. I love it. You got to know your strength, man. Know your body.
that's right.
Oh man, that's good stuff. So you mentioned, kind of fine tuning everything once you get to high school. So where did you go to high school?
I went to Wesleyan. It's a little private Christian school, um, the smallest division or whatever you'd call it in Georgia. But we were pretty good. We were planning on winning the state championship senior year. We had like Drew Jones was on the roster and a couple other pretty big names, but COVID obviously kind of messed that up. But it was a good spot.
That might be the best name drop for a high school teammate we've ever had on this show, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So just to give the listeners a little bit about your career in high school, you helped lead the Wolves to a 27-9 record and an appearance in the Georgia Class A private state semifinals as a junior. That was 2019. Also in 2019, you were Georgia Dugout Preview Magazine Class A first team All State selection. In 2018, the same magazine, you were second team All State selection. You're a four-time All Region selection. 2017 to 2020, you finished your career in doubles with 40. You in your high school history, just one shy of the record, despite not even having a senior season. I'm assuming that you would have smashed that record had you had a chance to.
That
Um,
that was the plan.
yeah. So, you mentioned the club ball. You played with the Georgia Roadrunners. You were, number 42 ranked player in Georgia by perfect game, number 39 catcher in the nation by perfect game. 2020 perfect game preseason All American and All Southeastern Region selection. Two-time perfect game preseason underclass All American selection in 2018 and 2019. Um, when we go through those accolades and we look at the contributions and what you did for high school and the club team, to me it seems like colleges would have been just like drooling over a guy like you from the jump. But when did colleges start approaching you?
Um, well, we didn't really have. I don't think anybody in my family has really played college athletics, so I don't think I had anybody super close to me that like really understood how to get recruited or what the process was like. So I had a couple coaches that kind of helped me, but and the guy whose doubles record I was trying to break, his name's Colin Hall, and his dad is Danny Hall at Georgia Tech. So that was kind of the first like exposure I'd had to the recruiting process. Was I kind of talked to Georgia Tech a little bit, but I really didn't have too much like traction or anything going on at the start of my sophomore year. So I sat down with my dad and we basically just composed this long email and sent it out to, I think it was like 30 schools, like any school that I could think of that I'd be interested in playing at. And we just kind of changed the subject line and who we sent it to, depending on which team or coach it was. So around Christmas time, my sophomore year, we sent that out with a bunch of my information, my coach's information, and I think we might have got like 2 responses maybe, and Coach Elander at Tennessee was one of them, and he built a great relationship with me and kind of took it from there.
So obviously, we know the selection, Coach Elander, big, factor in that decision, but were there outside of Tennessee, were there any other candidates that you were considering?
So we kind of went to I talked to Georgia a little bit and Georgia Tech, and we went to a couple other places to watch a game and maybe went down in the dugout and talked to the coaches. But after Tennessee offered me, it was my only offer, and we were kind of sitting there like, well, maybe we should wait and see what happens. But then I kept going through, and it was like my dad would ask me, well, if this place offered you, would you want to go there more than Tennessee? And every time my answer was no. So after about 3 weeks, we were like, what are we waiting on if we feel like this is the right fit? So we just kind of went with it.
So, I mean, obviously, my next question was, well, why Tennessee? Obviously, you could have probably pursued other options. You could have waited for other offers, but you mentioned the coach. You mentioned, comparing it to other options, and the winner was always Tennessee. Why was Tennessee such a good fit for you?
I think I had a coach in high school ball tell me, like, you don't always want to go to like the sexiest program, or maybe they've got the best facilities or whatever. Because at the time, Tennessee wasn't anything close to a powerhouse. But what he told me was, you want to go somewhere where you feel like you've got a coach that is going to have your back and fight for you to get on the field. And I felt like I really had that in Coach Elander. And then every discussion I had with Coach V was just, I mean, his vision for the program was something that you wanted to be a part of. So it was kind of an easy decision from that standpoint.
Yeah, Chuck, we've kind of talked to a few guys about that, a lot of your teammates and your former teammates about when Elander and to speak on that for just a second. We've talked about it here on the show. People that don't know the impact that Elander's had on the program are really missing out. And I think that unfortunately what that means for Tennessee fans and even Tennessee players is that eventually people are going to start coming with big enough opportunities that Josh is probably going to have to take a head job somewhere. But we won't talk about that today. But I want to talk to you about once you get there, right? You're in Knoxville, you're taking in all the classes. Hopefully you're getting to see some sporting events. How exciting was it for you, and what are the emotions you were feeling once you're on Rocky Top?
I mean, yeah, it's the past 3 years. I don't think there's another university in the country that would have been more fun to go to. I mean, there's great. Obviously, the football team had an unreal season this year. Basketball, baseball have been doing their thing. I think for me, I wasn't like homesick or anything, but it was very weird going from like lockdown, COVID at home to coming here and it kind of being weird. So I think it was just an adjustment for me to how in life and on the baseball field, how fast things were kind of moving for a second. But I mean, my new teammates, my coaching staff did a good job at kind of saying, hey, let's slow it down a little bit and just play baseball. That's what you're here to do, and that kind of made the transition pretty easy.
No, and I'm glad you touched on that because that's something that we probably don't talk about enough in general, the mental aspect of going to college in general. But not only on top of that, you were coming off of COVID, which, by the way, we had been through a pandemic in our lives, and we're a lot older than you, so nobody knew how to deal with that. So that your next adjustment coming out of a pandemic is to move, all the way away from the family that you've known. So I can only imagine the mental, struggle that a lot of people would go through there. That was probably the same for even guys that have been there.
Randy, we talk about, and it's specifically his class, the group that missed their senior year of high school. Those are the ones that I feel the worst for, because they miss out on their last year of high school, and then, like, to his point, then the next thing you know, you're in college, and it's like, whoa,
yeah, hours from home.
And one other thing is, I don't know how much you know about Quentin Everhart, but we so normally the upcoming freshmen come in like July and take a couple classes, and basically Q just kind of puts them through the ringer for a month. So when everybody joins them back in August, those freshmen are kind of acclimated and they know what to expect. Well, when we got here, first of all, we got here late because we weren't allowed to come in the summer. And then we got here and my room got COVID, so we got sent home for another 2 weeks. And we came back like September 1st and just kind of got thrown into the fire a little bit. So that was another thing on top of it.
Yeah. And obviously we've had the governor, Connor Pavoloni, on our podcast several times. So you get to come in talking about all this kind of mental struggle, but to have a veteran like that at the position that you play, I mean, what's that role like? Because it just looked to us, or to me, especially just watching him, that he just kind of look like in control all the time. And look, man, he looked like a glamour shots kind of guy. They had snow falling in his videos. I mean, was he always that in control at all times, as easy as it seemed?
I mean, he's probably the guy that I've learned the most from since I've been here. That my freshman year, I wanted to come back early after Christmas break, and they were kind of being weird about getting back into the dorm. So he was like, no questions asked. He let me stay in his house, and get some work in like early or late December, early January. No, but he's unreal. He's kind of just a good leader back there. The pitchers love throwing to him, and I'm excited to watch his pro ball career.
Randy, what a house to get to move into, because we know who lived there. So
Yeah,
we talk about
do
Cheese and Liam. What's up?
We had that whole house on a podcast.
Cheese is probably the funniest guy I've ever met.
He is really funny, and we had him and his brother on here. That was quite the episode. But so from everything that you kind of talked about, with coming off of COVID and kind of the struggles that not only you, I'm sure a lot of your teammates were kind of going through, what's the one thing you took the most from that freshman first semester?
That's a good question. I'd say kind of what I was saying earlier is like, and we're talking about this going into SEC play. Sometimes you make it out to be this big scary thing, like, this guy's going to get drafted this summer, or, this guy's BP is unreal. But at the end of the day, the bases are still 90 feet away. It's still baseball. So over the course of that fall, I kind of settled in and realized, okay, the talent is way better, but this is the same game I've been playing my whole life,
No, absolutely. So you kind of talked about it, that Tennessee wasn't quite the powerhouse, obviously, that, you guys have built it into, but they were well on their way. So the fact that, Tennessee makes Omaha your freshman year, what did that mean to you personally? I know that you're not seeing the time, that you probably wanted to see, but just talk about how fun that group was to be around and what that meant for the program moving forward.
Yeah, so I had a pretty good fall my freshman year, and I was kind of hoping to get some playing time. But after one of the early midweeks, I talked to Coach V about redshirting and stuff like that. So basically, I would be the bullpen catcher, and then on Mondays, I would catch all kinds of live ABs and get a couple ABs for myself in there. But one thing that I'll forever be grateful to Coach V for is he let me travel to every game the entire season. So, you know, every SEC road trip we went on, I was there in the bullpen. He traveled me to Omaha, and I was down there in the bullpen getting guys ready to go in the game. So, I mean, it was fun getting to play last year a little bit, and this year is obviously cool getting, you know, a little bit more of a prominent role, but it's hard to top that freshman year going to Omaha, even though I never saw the field.
No, absolutely. I mean, just from talking to some of your teammates, I mean, you were definitely a part of the team, right? You've been kind of on the pulse of this team since you got there. But talking about the last year, you obviously a little bit of limited action, but you came in some really big time situations: Alabama State, Campbell, Notre Dame. So what was it like for you? Obviously, you know, we kind of know the situation with Evan and all that. We're a great friend of the show. We love that guy. But for you, you know, the game's still got to be played. So Evan's dealing with his thing. You're stepped in. What does it mean to you personally to get that time? It's next man up. And what did that mean for you, for the coaching staff to put that faith in you to be able to step in?
Yeah, I mean, I remember after the game, it was kind of a crazy feeling, like just a lot of emotions kind of running through me. But before the game, I got to the field, saw my name in the lineup, and I mean, I was so nervous. I don't think I ate a bite of food the rest of the day. But no, that was cool to get in there. And I think one thing that was cool was I think Drew Gilbert called me when we kind of knew that I was going to be in the lineup, and he said, like, look, we don't need you to do anything special. We don't need you to, you know, try and be Evan Russell. We need you to just be Chuck, you know, do what you do, lead our pitching staff, and we're going to do our thing, you know. So that took a lot of pressure off me. That, not that I thought I had to go out there and hit 2 grand slams, but it was just like, you
Why
know,
not?
it was just we're going to be fine. I'm going to do what I do best, and we're going to win this game.
And I love that he said that, Randy, because he continues to speak to the character that we know about with Drew that everyone seems to not really understand.
Well, yeah, opposing fan bases do not understand Drew Gilbert as a teammate, but everybody that's played with him, and even some guys that played with him in Team USA or whatever, they all talked about the character of the guy. He's been on here a lot of times. He even cut a Target trip short to talk to us one time. So I'm a big fan, as it is. But I want to talk to you about a moment in particular, Chuck, when, you know, the fans in Lindsey Nelson are chanting your name. You know, maybe it was a little bit of a struggle. You talked about how nervous you were, first time seeing action. It's in a huge moment. What were your emotions like when they're chanting your name, man? And I mean, because for me, it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, man. That was a hell of a moment.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I've talked to some of my teammates about it. I'm not sure that many people have gotten a louder ovation than that.
No
And
way.
just
No way.
Just such a random time and sequence of events for it to happen. So, you know, I was kind of in the box, like trying to soak in the moment, but also trying to be like, okay, let's, you know, collect yourself a little bit and put together a good AB here.
That's what I was going to ask you too. Did you have to really soak that in after that kind of happens? Because in the moment, you're right. You got to think about, what's my approach? What am I going to be seeing here? But how cool, man. How awesome is that? At a moment that you'll remember, you'll tell your kids about this when, and instead of seeing stadiums, you're going to be like, but this one time. I mean, to me, that just shows that the fans, a lot of people talk about Vol Nation. It is what it is. And they are a little crazy. Everybody knows that. But for them, I think feeling that they needed to show you some support, maybe they felt some nervousness, whatever it was. It's a tough situation coming in for Evan Russell. All the talk on ESPN about why Evan was out, and then to step up in that moment, I thought that was cool, the crowd to do that.
Well, Randy,
And,
that's why when it comes to the stadium capacity, the people who automatically argue the stadiums that hold more, give me 6,000 electric versus 10,000 monotone. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree.
Well, this is the other thing about Lindsey Nelson too, is it's not as much like a big league stadium where it feels like everybody's out there on an island. It's more like people are right on top of you. Like if you're on deck for the opposing team, some frat kid
You
could
hear 'em.
be in your ear. And so, I mean, you hear everything that goes on inside the stadium. So I think that's cooler than having everything kind of spread out.
You know, Tony V talked about that too when he was talking about building the new stadium, and everybody just automatically assumed there was going to be 10,000. He said, I don't want that. I want 5,500, 6,000, because I don't want to lose the Hornet's Nest atmosphere. And if you've never been to Lindsey Nelson, you don't understand that, because look, I'm not here to argue. Duty Noble is amazing. Bon Walker, amazing. Alex Box, amazing. But there's something special about Lindsey Nelson and just the way that it's configured. So I hope they don't lose that when they get the new fancy digs. But Charlie, speaking of Tony V, he came on the show and he talked about how important it was for each team to establish, their own identity. So while obviously, you guys have nothing but respect for the previous two teams, how important was it for you guys to establish your own identity coming into this season as your own team and kind of your own pace?
Yeah, I think it was kind of weird because everybody recognizes that last year was so great, and there was so many just things that we did that probably may not ever happen again.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a task in itself to separate the two at first, and then we kind of had a couple obstacles at the beginning too, with Maui being out for a little and Griff being suspended, and just a couple other just weird things. But I think you're starting to see a little bit of that team identity form, and it's definitely not completed right now, and we don't want it to be. I think we want it to be kind of peaking at the right time in June, not in March. But I think that all of these series that are upcoming in the SEC are going to be dog fights, and it's going to be good for us to kind of, maybe take some punches and kind of along the way figure out what that 2023 Vols team identity looks like.
No, I agree 100%. So speaking of identities, we've seen some really cool stuff. The daddy hat, the fur coat. Who came up with the lightsaber idea?
Well, that was one thing I was going to say. That's kind of another way that we were saying, okay, the daddy hat's cool and the pimp coat and all that is cool, but we kind of need to do our own thing and have our own flavor. So I think Jared Dickey's a big Star Wars guy. I don't really remember who else, but somebody had a lightsaber in the locker room, and we were kind of just messing around with it. So I'm not sure if that's what we'll stick with this year, but for now, that's kind of the direction we're headed.
Look, man, I'm going to tell you right now, I love watching you play. I love all those guys on the team, but there's not a better picture than Kyle Booker when he's got the lightsaber in the dugout. It's just the whole ambiance. You got you guys behind him. I mean, that picture, if I could get it blown up and put up behind me in place of Sun Studios, I would, but I ain't got that kind of loot.
Well, I'll
But
tell you, Randy, me, I watch as many Tennessee games as I can, and I happen to miss that one. And so when I start seeing on Twitter, y'all talking about lightsaber, I'm lost. I'm like, because I hadn't seen the picture yet. I'm just seeing them talk about it. And I'm like, what are they talking about?
It was so hard, man. So let's get into you, man. This year, February 22nd, you made sure you wanted to come into the season strong. Alabama A&M, you arrived. You go 4 for 5, 2 home runs, a triple, 5 RBIs, 3 runs. Look, man, you've come down a long road. You went through your struggles. You came in some big moments. So to start the season off like that, what was that like, Chuck? Talk to us, baby.
I mean, it was kind of like, it was cool to, get the starting job on opening day. That was awesome. Big confidence boost. But still, that whole weekend, I felt like kind of people were just waiting for me to, to fail or to get out or whatever. And I know that's not the case internally with the team, but it was, I mean, that one night with, when I just hit the homer instead of going for the cycle, I said, screw the cycle.
We were live texting about it, Chuck.
That was, I think it was kind of just a big confidence boost to be like, okay, this is, I don't have to try and be Superman. I just have to go out there and trust my preparation and try and put together quality at bats, and that's going to be good enough when I combine it with my defense.
No, 100%. So listen, you kind of talked about this, kind of taking some punches. You talked about starting the season. Maui's out. Griff is suspended from an incident from the previous year and the previous team. But a couple early losses to Grand Canyon and Arizona, and then BC. What I think, and this is just me talking as a fan. I'm not speaking for you, but people that are casuals in baseball, and that's not on this show, don't realize the level of teams that Grand Canyon is, Arizona is, and Boston College is. I mean, we're talking about teams that are regional teams, super regional teams. Boston College, they come in, they beat you guys, then they go take 2 out of 3 from Virginia Tech. So for those that don't know, obviously you guys expect to win those games, Chuck, but I mean, you guys, you said it. You want to take some punches and figure out how to respond now and not in the super regionals when a 39-year-old Notre Dame team comes in there. So are these look, losses aren't good losses, right? We know that. But can these teach you something early on how to respond late?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can kind of rep it and practice all you want or talk about it or watch videos about it, but there's no substitute for the real thing and experiencing it. And there's no substitute for me picking up a bunt against Grand Canyon and maybe looking up and not seeing Blake Burke there and seeing Christian Moore, and instead of just setting my feet and making a good throw, I got a little sped up and just kind of choked the thing. Or a couple other maybe miscommunications that we had in certain games. There's no substitute for those experiences. So sometimes the best thing to do is to have them early and to learn from them. And the more kind of those experiences that you have, the more things you have in your toolbox later in the year to say, hey, I've been here, we've been here. This is no big deal.
Yeah, but for those that don't watch it, man, those are some dudes on those teams, man. I mean, those teams are talented, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, it's baseball, like you said. They're playing the same game, and they're trying to beat y'all. Y'all are not the hunters as much anymore as you're the hunted, right?
I think our mentality is always to be the hunters.
I knew you'd say that. We've had that come up. So I wanna ask. Obviously, everybody knows about the stable of pitchers. Gemini and DB. DB is a pitcher, so he's always going to be on the pitcher side. But Gemini, I've been telling everybody on social media that this was the best staff in the country, and I really do believe that. From Friday, Saturday, Sunday to a Monday, Tuesday, play a game on a Wednesday morning.
Xander would be a Friday night starter for 95% of
on
America.
most teams. So, but we know about the arms, the offense. Maybe there's been a little bit of I think you said it. Maybe it's not that they've been stalling or you guys have been stalling. Maybe it's just that there's a constant comparison to last year. And maybe we shouldn't expect that. We shouldn't expect 10, 12 runs a game. But just talk to us about the pulse of the team offensively, because it looks like they're coming into form a little bit. You guys are going into SEC play. What's the pulse of the team?
I think 100%. You nailed it. I think that, kind of like I was saying earlier, I'm trying to think, but I'm pretty sure the only 2 guys on the team that have put together a full season of at bats of 200 plus ABs are Griffin and Zane, and the whole line, and I guess Maui too. But outside of that, whether it's Dickey or Burke or Simo, they had some injuries, or they weren't starting every game. There's not a single guy on that team who on our team who has kind of been through the ringer of a full season before. So I think early on we're kind of learning some things, but I'm excited about how quickly we're learning them, because you're seeing some young guys put together some really good ABs. Dylan Dryling looks like a professional up there already. But I think we have
KT.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
My God, that guy can hit.
Yeah. I think we have all the confidence in the world heading into SEC play, and we're excited to kind of get in a dogfight every Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Listen, one last question before I turn it over to Jim. I'm sorry, I told him go ahead, but
no, I was gonna say again. You can go ahead and ask this too. Did the offense not increase once Maui also got it, which really just shows the effect of how good Maui is once he got in the lineup?
I think it was obviously he's just a talented player, but then everybody loves him too. So just having him in the lineup is another guy that everybody in the dugout is rooting for. And, I think he just makes everybody around him better.
I got to ask one last question. So obviously Tony V going back to Missouri, where he was a player. And the word was that they, didn't really offer him the job. Does this mean any more, or is this just business as usual this weekend?
I don't know that he would let on if it did mean any more to him. I think he treats every game like it's game 7 of the World Series. But I think our team and him definitely take some pride in, starting the season off at Missouri, where, I don't know if you've seen the forecast, but it's going to be chilly this week. And I think we kind of embrace the role of going on the road to start SEC play and not the most ideal conditions, and, kind of trying to go in there and take that place over.
See,
Absolutely.
the key is you just hit more bombs, you wear the fur coat, and then, it's not so cold anymore.
That's right.
But no, man, I wish you, obviously Randy is the Tennessee fan, but I and Daniel wish y'all nothing but the best of luck. Outside of March 30th through April 2nd, when y'all come to Baton Rouge and play my Tigers, I root for y'all every single game. Wholeheartedly. Randy's seen me. I've been at Swayze. I've been at Starkville wearing Tennessee gear and off the bench gear. Like, I love you, dude. So I root for y'all outside that weekend. And I hope y'all get smacked because the way Randy's been talking to me.
Hey, we'll both be there, Chuck. We'll both be in Baton Rouge together. The podcast will be represented 2 of the 3 of us, so like 66.7%.
Daniel, we're gonna have to just have Daniel on FaceTime. He's gonna be there. We'll have it going.
We'll throw him in the bullpen. Look, I don't think he's gonna move off this comfortable little setup he's got. He'll be chilling.
No, I'm good. I'll put it on. I'll stream it right here.
But enough of that. We're gonna get to the game that we play with every guest, and man, it's fun. It's really a chance for everybody to get to know even more about you. Obviously, we did a little bit with the icebreaker, but it's called This or That. We give you 2 options. You choose one or the other. You just can't say neither. You can't say both. You down to play?
Let's do it.
All right, man. Would you rather have the ability to teleport, or would you rather own a time machine?
Teleport.
If you could just teleport out of where you're at right now to somewhere, where are you going?
Maybe well, I guess that's time travel. Damn.
Is it cold right now there? I would imagine you might want to hit a beach. Yeah, you might want to hit a beach.
Yeah, maybe the beach. That's a good answer.
All right, so this one's an interesting one. We got this from the Savannah Bananas, so that's why it's a little off the wall. But if your only mode of transportation was a donkey or a giraffe, which one you taking?
I think a donkey. I'm not sure I'm tall enough to climb up on a giraffe.
But if you were trying to, as Daniel said, if you were just trying to show out, rolling in with the giraffe would be the way to be. But if you're trying to be practical and actually get from A to B and not be uncomfortable, the donkey is the way to go.
Maybe a little blue collar too.
Exactly. So this will be an interesting one, man. Would you rather be the strongest person in the world, or would you rather have the ability to fly?
I'd say the ability to fly.
You don't want to be the strongest person in the world, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes those strongest men in the world dudes freak me out a little bit.
I'm with you, man. Plus, if I get into a fight, I'm flying away. I ain't got to deal with this.
Yeah, they both agree with you. They both would rather fly. I got an ego problem. I like to lift all the weights in the gym. So if you give me that ability, I'm going that route. So this next one, if I was a Tennessee player, this would be the hardest question you would ask me. Man, what do you like more, the smoky grays or the dark mode uniforms?
Oh, I think the dark mode. It's just I feel like there's something about rolling out there in black uniforms that gives everybody a little extra juice.
I mean, no doubt. I mean, the first time they unveiled those and we saw them on social media, I was like, my God. And y'all were already killing everybody as it was. So it was like they needed something else to just make them more badass. I was like, okay, then. And your grays are already sick. Like, I mean, so Tennessee definitely has the uniform game on lock. There's no argument here from an LSU fan. I'll tell you that. Here's the interesting question. We asked this same question to Evan Russell last year. Harder to catch, Chase Dollander or Chase Burns?
They're both making it pretty easy on me this year, but I'd say I'd
And
say
it's not a knock to either of them, man. Both nasty,
no.
but one's probably harder than the other.
I mean this in a this is a compliment to Chase Burns, but sometimes he throws the hell out of that fastball and accidentally cuts it a little bit, and it's I mean, good luck as a hitter hitting that one, but that's kind of one that you got to be locked in on because at the last second it'll kind of just cut a little bit at 99 or whatever it is.
I think that's the right answer because he told
It's
me,
the
Daniel, and
exact same
Randy.
answer.
Yeah, Evan said he couldn't sleep the night before he had to catch Chase, thinking about what he might have to deal with. All right, so this next one, I'm gonna preface it before I ask it by saying you're screwed either way, but which way do you want to go about it? Would you rather be attacked by a grizzly bear or by a tiger?
I think the thing about the tiger is it's just got the speed, you know, and I don't know. Like you said, I don't think I have a shot against either, but maybe I can get lucky and hit a weak spot on the grizzly bear or something. But that tiger, I mean, he's on me like that.
You talked about having wheels earlier running track. What if I told you one of your teammates said that he would outrun the bear, and the bear runs 35 miles an hour to be exact. So Christian Scott told us he had no worries because he was going to outrun the bear. You believe this?
That sounds about right.
Blake Burke, however, said he was going to
ridiculous.
play. Blake Burke, however, said he was going to play dead, and Randy had to remind him that he was as big as a bear. Man, battle that bad boy.
Yeah,
Plus, his mama would come in and help him, man. That's
right.
her baby.
I'm scared of Natalie Burke. All right. Speaking of Blake Burke, that was the perfect segue. Blake Burke, over or under 25 home runs?
Over.
So
You got to up it now. Over or under 35 home runs?
Well, I know he came on here and he confidently answered it himself, and he's given me no reason to not believe it. But
My man taking days off, man. We can't have that. He could have hit 2 the other night, man. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding.
He's got to make way. The other dudes need to share the wealth. But this is the staple question. This is the last question, and I'll let you off the hot seat. Would you rather betray your best friend or go to jail for 5 years for a crime you did not commit?
Go to jail.
Oh, Daniel, tell him.
Look, Chuck, let me be real with you. These 2 dudes are my best friend. All right. And if it came down to jail or betraying these dudes, man, the knife is going in the back. Like it's going hard. It's going deep, and I ain't caring.
Chuck, this man said he wouldn't even go in the interrogation room for us. Nope,
No,
it was them, those guys.
No loyalty.
I ain't spending 5 years, 5 months, 5 weeks, 5 days. I'm not even going into the parking lot.
Daniel, I don't believe you. I think you would give. I believe you about a lot of that, but I think you might give me a week. Like I think you do.
Try me.
You know I might. I mean,
Try me.
As a matter of fact, it might be next time I go to Swayze. So get ready.
You're on your own, pal.
You're on your own. They're gonna call me and tell me. They say, "What do you know about Jim Cross?" I'm gonna be like,
Who?
How much time you got? let me lay it all out there for you." So, Chuck, man, it's been a blast, dude. Anything before you roll? Anything you want to plug or promote?
SEC baseball starting this weekend.
That's right. SEC play opens up this weekend. I'll help you out a little bit. If you want to know more about Charlie Taylor, the man, the myth, the legend, going over to Instagram at CharlieTaylor_10. Or if you want to see what he's doing on the diamond, going over to at Vol_baseball. If you're not social media, but you love baseball, by all means, this weekend, go on over to SEC Network at 7 p.m. on Friday, at 3 p.m. on Saturday, and 2 p.m. on Sunday. They're traveling to Missouri. They got the Tigers opening up SEC play, man. Charlie, good luck this weekend. I wish you guys nothing but the best. If there's anything we can do for you, man, just reach out.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me on.
Absolutely. That's Charlie Taylor, everybody. We are going to take a quick break. We got to promote our sponsors. When we come back, we got March Madness. We got SEC play opening up. a lot to talk about and unpack. We'll see you back in a few minutes.